the declining numbers of managers are overloaded with supervising enterprises. Our last auditor's report for the national accounts is for the year 1981. What practical use can an auditor's report, even if it comes up now for 1982, be to people who are currently looking at the fiscal management and the economic management of the treasury and everything, the various enterprises in the country? What can it be after a decade, almost a decade? What we have auditors' reports. You can't say we don't have them. There's no law abolishing them. They can be produced. But we are 9 years late. In the meeting in Brooklyn yesterday, there were several questions from the floor about economic development. Many people there are wondering whether this drive to attract foreign capital has anything to do with them. We know that the petroleum drilling is going on, oil drilling is going on, and we know that that has to be done by a foreign company. Good. These oil drillers are big multinationals, and you either have them or you don't drill any oil. Secondly, the gold industry is in a different position. We have 100 years tradition in gold mining in Guyana. It perhaps began with the Amerindians, because they live in the gold mines. The Africans, mainly from Suriname and then from Guyana, and then from the Caribbean, came in and developed it. And now it is a multiracial industry. Every racial group in Guyana is engaged significantly in the small mining industry. The wealthier portion, the dredges, and the less wealthy portion as pork knockers. But no attention is given to this sector. All the incentives are for the foreign companies. And President Hoyt has boasted that about 14 of them are interested. We have said it seems as if they want to finish the gold by the year 2000, by these heavy mining companies, and neglecting the native sector of this gold mining industry. Further, it is about the only Caribbean country that has gold. And I hope tomorrow night we can develop that theme a little more in the interest of Caribbean integration in this world that is becoming more and more hostile. Caribbean is faced with isolation and nothing less. So the question is whether non-resident Guyanese here wish to take to take advantage of this reopening of the private sector in Guyana, and how they can do it. We feel that some organization should be established here that can keep in touch with people in Guyana, non-governmental people, to get information and to start preliminary inquiries. There are many things that non-resident Guyanese could take over, which are being taken over by foreigners. But no survey has been carried out. They do not know what resources there are abroad. It is obvious that if a country is losing resources rapidly at home, it must take an inventory of its resources abroad, if it still wants to be a country, because it cannot be a country without human resources. And it is the human side of reconstruction that we are at present discussing. So our recommendation is that some kind of consultancy be set up. There are people here with the necessary gifts and training to set up such a body. I will not tell you come back home tomorrow, because the first thing will face you is lack of electricity. And when you press your button, you will get no response. I couldn't find several documents to bring because of a blackout at the time when I was supposed to be packing. But we had electricity for Christmas, you see. But none for production. So perhaps that is a priority. Let them rejoice and spread joy at Christmas time. and then we go back to unexpected spells of darkness and lack of power. This is one of the things I think we can do very well out here. And the Working People's Alliance will be prepared to develop a service. In fact, we formed a discussion, Brother Wazir, Mohammed, and I, and the brothers and sisters in New York decided yesterday that we are going to prepare a periodical economic bulletin and send it out here for reproduction and distribution to interested persons as a way of beginning to gather resources for the reconstruction of Guyana. Now, everyone knows that Guyana is stinking with corruption. There is no the power barge affair. When the power barge came there, several months late behind its schedule, we immediately smelled something going wrong. You know, we have had the responsibility of running out several confidence tricksters from that country. People like Chappelle, who came there with grand schemes to open a bunker in the interior. We wrote this in a book on secret havens or some such thing. The offshore banking man. The offshore bank was to be the thing to turn on Guyana. There was not a single offshore bank. Although the law was passed in 1986, we voted against it. We voted for the petroleum bill, but we voted against this offshore banking and warned them of what was to come. Soon after, Chappelle ended up in some jail in the United States of America for business fraud. This is a man who, white American citizen who used to hang out in the Bahamas. Then there was this waste project, which they were going to bring foreign waste from a California company to process in Guyana to turn, they said, into electricity. Well, we had the distinction of leading the agitation against that waste project. And I should like to congratulate those non-resident Guyanese who took it up here with great vigor in various parts of the United States of America and England, and they had to go into reverse gear. And they have announced that that particular project is not on. And since then, Mr. Hoyt has become a leading environmentalist in the international community. I heard him being quoted in Malaysia as one of the leading lights on environmental concerns. Little did they know that he nearly drowned the land in poison. So this is something we are going to ask you to consider. To give you a few concrete ideas about suffering in Guyana, the minimum wage is, in round figures, $36 a day, 36 Ghana dollars a day. That is a little more than $1 US at the official rate. The official rate is 33 to 1. After the 1989 budget, the prices of rice, wheat and flour, gasoline, and cooking oil and a few other staples went up by 3 times, and in some cases more than 3 times. So at once, the family is told you can't eat. And this is what led the workers of Mackenzie, the bauxite workers, to walk off the job, down tools without any union. The union had to run after them and confirm the strike. And the sugar workers followed. And a general strike in the export sector developed. It was our hope that that strike would be held out long enough to bring the government to the bargaining table, at least to the unions representing those workers. That would have set a qualitative change in the behavior of the dictatorship because they want the foreign exchange. A Canadian reporter, and Canada is one of the most active countries in the support group backing Guyana. The Canadian High Commissioner went on the television to congratulate the government on its budget. And we had to picket the High Commission. He was unrepentant. But today they are rethinking their position, it would seem. The minimum wage then cannot buy a gallon of rice. But this strike did not hold out. An important sugar union caved in. And we were, although they were allies in the democratic struggle in Guyana, we were quite outspoken against the timing of the caving in of that strike. It would have imposed democracy on the dictatorship, or at least the democratic behavior by negotiating at least with the unions and possibly with the political opposition in the PCB. Some disagreement developed over that issue. Now, so that the minimum wage, even after the 2 increments of 20% granted after that strike, as against 300% and more increase in the cost of living, remains at $36 today. You cannot buy a gallon of rice. A gallon of parboiled rice or brown rice is $50 at the cheapest center and $57 at some other places. But you won't get it for that price, except at a few government shops. And the cheapest rice, which is the white seed, also cannot be bought with a day's pay. So that the barrels that are sent and so on are really the lifeline of the Guyanese people, as a safety valve that is keeping the lid on. The hospitals are another scandal. We have asked people in this country who are sending gifts to the hospital to send us the information. We cannot make you send the information to us, but your gifts need to be safeguarded. I was making some official visits to the hospital about August last year. And I went to the male ward, and I found that many men had been admitted there for the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th time for this illness, stoppage of water, as we call it. And they were prescribed surgery but could not get surgery. I know of 2 of them who died as a result after being sent home. No drugs, no gloves, no meat, the theater was not working. And I finally had to table questions in the parliament to ask about the number admitted for this ailment, prescribed surgery, and not receiving surgery. And it turned out that 17 of them had given blood for surgery and still not had surgery. That was admitted in the answer. But while I was sitting in the office of the medical superintendent, who has since left the country, a youngster came in and said, "You know, this lady from England sent these gifts, you're not going down to the ramp to get them." I say, "Oh no, man, that is Mr. X's job." The chap said, "But you know, if you go for them, the hospital in Masida." And that is the kind of thing we are up against. On 2 weekends recently, one around the Christmas holidays and one about 2 or 3 weeks ago, large stocks of drugs were stolen from the Georgetown